Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Goals. I'm Maria Laura,
And I'm Katia.
and we have had an amazing couple of weeks, both with the return of some club tournaments for men's football, and also a couple of women's football leagues recently started or about to start during the next couple of weeks. Since we're pleased to have some magic back, we needed to prove our gratitude with a special guest from the heart of the pitch, Canadian-born, Bachelor in Business Administration with a FIFA Master degree in Management, Law, and Humanities of Sport, with a prolific career as a professional player and probably one of the most diverse passports that I have ever heard before. It is a great deal for us to introduce you to Alisa Lagonia, UEFA Women's Football Assistant and a footballer for Servette FC. Hello, Alisa, and thank you for coming to Two Goals podcast.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
No, it is a great pleasure for us to have you here. But just to start and try to get to know you better, and of course, for our audience to get to know you, if we are thinking about Canada, we tend to think about sports like ice hockey, lacrosse, but we're not aware about your football culture and your football history, probably because the Canadian male team is not seen like as a powerful national team. So could you please tell us how did Alisa end up practicing football?
Yeah, so I think in Canada, yes, we're a big hockey nation. We love all the other American sports. But when it comes to youth participation, I think soccer, football is one of the highest, has one of the highest participation numbers. But I think that's in part because it's a lot less expensive than hockey. We have a massive immigration population. And yeah, I mean, so it's normal that actually a lot of kids in Canada start with soccer or football. But for me personally, I have an older brother and a dad who were both very much into it. And I would go to my brother's games and my dad would be coaching my brother. So obviously everything that he did, I wanted to do. And that's kind of how it started. I started playing with boys, I think when I was 4 years old until about 8. And then I started in a girls' league and my dad started coaching me and that's kind of how it all started for me. But like I said, I think in Canada in the youth category, it's a lot more popular than you think. And our women's football in general and women's opportunities in Canada in sport are pretty great. So I think that definitely helped me develop and evolve to where I am today.
Yeah, and as you grew up during your infancy, did you see a chance of choosing football as a professional career? Or did you have another dream during this time? And if you can mention, were there any role models to look up to in this sense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever really knew that there was a professional option for me growing up. I just really knew that I loved the sport and I was pretty good at it. So I kind of just kept going up the ranks to the next highest level and the next highest level that I could possibly go within Canada. And I never really thought, it's going to be, my career until I guess when I was 10 and I saw the 1999 Women's World Cup final, USA against China, and when the USA won, that was a turning point for me, I think, in my mind and what I wanted to do. They were for sure role models, the American team, and to see the amount of fans that were there and it was on television, and I just thought, oh, I could do that. I could represent Canada and I could do that one day. And so since kind of that moment, I thought, this could be something that I pursue. In terms of professional playing, though, I never really knew what that meant and if it was possible. Or, in Canada and in North America in general, the goal is to play in university, so to get some kind of scholarship so that you can play and study at the same time. So that's kind of the goal what everyone strives toward. But after that, there's not much information or not much opportunity, and especially back in the day. for Canadians especially to continue their careers after. So I mean, I didn't know, and it just kind of built. It grew from something small into just a real passion and love for the game, and then it was kind of like one opportunity after another. I just accepted and tried, and yeah, now I'm here today.
No, but actually, you mentioned something really relevant, which is the idea of representing your team from your national, from the country. And I think that's quite an achievement for every footballer or sports person out there. And since you mentioned that you kind of like that 10-year-old, you were like, all right, I can do it, and I would love to do it to represent Canada, but you actually achieved it. So could you please tell us a bit about your moment like representing Canada, and if there is any specific memory that you held wearing your national team jersey?
Yeah, exactly. So I managed to make one of those dreams come true and represent Canada wearing that jersey, listening to the national anthem, and actually participated in the U20 Women's World Cup in Chile in 2008. Which was a significant moment in my career. And of course, for any athlete to represent your country is one of the highest, if not the highest achievement you can do in your sport, in your career. So for me to have already put on that jersey when I was 19, it was a massive achievement for me, and I was so proud to go through that experience. And then after the World Cup, I also was called into the senior national team under Carolina Morace. I played in various camps over the next 2 years, but one of my biggest moments, I think, was when I was able to play at home in BMO Field in Toronto, in front of all of my friends and family, and playing against the USA. This was probably one of the best moments. Wearing the jersey. I only got in the last 10-15 minutes, but it was still quite an honor, and I think I was still only 20 years old at the time. So a big experiences quite early on, and something that I'm very proud of still today.
Yeah, great moments to remember for sure. So you played in your home country and for your national team, and then from Canada, you started your journey to European football. You arrived in Europe in 2011 to play for the Doncaster Rovers Bells in England. Then you jumped from there to Italy, where you played for Bardolino and Hellas Verona. Then you moved to FC Neunkirch in Switzerland, moving afterwards to Apollon in Cyprus, and nowadays you play for Servette. So 9 seasons, 4 countries. How have you been able to quickly adapt to different football cultures? And do you see continuous mobility as a challenge or as an opportunity for the development of women's football?
Yes, I have moved around quite a bit, which was very enjoyable. But I think the main thing that helped me integrate and learn the different football cultures is football itself. I mean, it's an international language in itself, and it really helped me, establish some kind of relationship and with my teammates, with coaching staff, with the people around me. And I think football is always the thing that opens the doors, and that's what's helped me kind of integrate. And then once I'm settled in that sense, then the rest of the experience just falls into place. But like I said, football is an international language, and it's something that, although in different areas it's played differently, I feel like I'm able to adapt to the different playing styles fairly easily after some time. I work really hard, I focus, I try and learn how my teammates play around me and what the coach wants. And I think if you just work really hard and concentrate, you're able to make that happen.
Alisa, we like focusing into points that maybe are not that common for our audiences. And out of curiosity, I really want you to tell me, like in a few words, how was your experience in Cyprus? I mean, this is like really, we're talking about not a typical Western European country. I would like to know what's the culture, football culture over there, and how was it?
Yeah, so my experience in Cyprus was a positive one. Our club was gearing up for Champions League, so we had quite an intense training camp and preparation for those games. We made it through the preliminary round and went on to the round of 32. So for me, from my experience initially in Cyprus was a very positive one, very good. I mean, the facilities, the weather, some of the expectations of women in women's football were maybe something that we're not used to in, like you said, the Western European countries. However, overall, it was a very interesting and fantastic learning experience. Like I said, I think the culture around women's football in Cyprus is still something that needs to improve upon. There's a lot of negative perception still on the women's game, and you know, it's not for women, it's not a girls' sport, a girl shouldn't be playing football. I think there's still this kind of attitude within the culture there, and it's something that really needs to be worked on and tackled to try and change perceptions and give more opportunities to girls, because in general the opportunities there are quite limited. So I mean, I know for a fact that they're working on this, and every year the league gets better and more competitive. However, there's still lots of work to be done.
But I mean, since you mentioned that there is an opportunity, I would like to go deeper on that possibility that you saw there, because you start on Cyprus your own girls' academy, and also during your path you have always strived to go further beyond the pitch, like taking roles that are related not only to your performance side, but also, let's say, for example, working as a marketing manager for FC. I can't pronounce it like Katia just said, FC Manrich. And just in general, do you think that entrepreneurship, I mean, it is something really relevant for you, and maybe this spirit that you have after, I mean, like looking at an opportunity to develop the game outside the pitch, do you think that has enriched your professional career?
For sure. I think, well, there are various reasons as to why I got so involved as I've gone through my career in Europe. One being financial, another being just wanting to integrate myself into the country and the culture, to another way to meet people outside of football, and of course, try to challenge and apply myself. As you know, when professional sport, there's a lot of downtime, so I wanted to always make sure that I was still challenging myself and working towards something that could also benefit my future after football. And so, I mean, in England, I worked on the side as well in schools. I was coaching in schools, and I worked in a cocktail bar. In Verona, I learned Italian, and I volunteered in a center for people with autism. In Neunkirch, I saw a gap in our team, in our club, in the sense that there was really no social media presence, and I thought this is a fantastic opportunity for our team to get more exposure and to try and professionalize a little bit more and gain more opportunity in that sense. And then in Cyprus, I made a connection with an academy, and they saw an opportunity to get me involved in starting a girls team. So I obviously jumped at that opportunity, and I really wanted to get involved. So I think for me, it's helped to enrich my experiences in each country, and like I said, meet people outside of the football world or outside of necessarily just my team and whatnot, and it helped me to also, I mean, get better integrated into the culture in general, and yeah, like I said, enrich my experience.
Now, regarding your player career, let's talk about your actual team, Servette FC. Servette
Sure.
is a Swiss team integrated in a Swiss women's football panorama, which is moving forward with the new league sponsor and new broadcasting deal, which shows us that the game is definitely growing. And next season, you'll have the chance to play again in the Champions League. And I say again because you already mentioned you did it with Apollon in Cyprus. How excited are you about the new season overall, and particularly about this moment of playing in the UEFA Champions League and the expectations for Servette FC in the tournament?
Yeah, we're very excited. I mean, when we found out that we would be given the honor to represent Switzerland in the Champions League, we were absolutely thrilled. This is a fantastic opportunity for our club, who's never qualified before, and for the girls as well to get this kind of opportunity. I think that we. Expectations, we want to obviously give it our all and we want to give a fantastic performance, but we also know that we will be drawn against one of the best teams in Europe, let alone the world. So obviously we have nothing to lose and everything to gain, and going into the Champions League with this kind of attitude, I think can only be positive. We still have a lot of work to do. Today is actually the first day of our league. We start this evening with our first game, so very excited about the start of our league, and I think this will help prepare us for November when we do play in the Champions League, and just to get regular games under our belt and find out the little bits of our tactics and our formation that we need to kind of sort out now as we progress through and prepare for those big European games.
Well, first of all, good luck today. We really hope that you win. Well, we won't keep this on present. If we have some guests from the other team, maybe next time we will say good luck for them as well. But but today we really want you to win.
No, of course, thank you.
No, but just taking the discussion outside the pitch, we're really curious because you stopped. I mean, in your career, you have played in all these several teams that we mentioned, but then you decide stepping out from playing football and actually joining like a football-focused master degree. And we just want you to mention the reasons why did you take this decision, and maybe what kind of goals did you have when you entered the master?
So I was in Cyprus when I made this decision, about halfway through the season. Again, like I said, I was looking for other ways to challenge myself and find something to do. So actually I was going to do an online MBA and realized that wasn't for me. And I always knew about this master, at least for the last 4 or 5 years, and I always thought, if I'm going to retire, I need something that helps motivate me to make that transition and help me make that transition into the working world in my off-field career. And I always knew I wanted to continue working in sport, but I just didn't know in what capacity yet, and I thought this master would really help me. I think in Cyprus, it was just the moment where I decided, you know what, I'm going to apply. If I get in, I get in. I know it's very hard to get in, and there's hundreds of applicants every year trying to get into this master program. So, I mean, I didn't know what my chances were, and I just thought if I get in, I'll retire and go for it. And if not, then I'll continue playing and figure out what the next steps are. Luckily, I was accepted, and I was able to do that the next year. But obviously, I missed it, so I'm back playing.
And the decision to study was so important. It is so important. Education is one of the most important tools in life in general. And our case, I talk for us three, was in sports, or specifically in football. But overall, we should all have interest in educate ourselves. And more than this, we should all have the opportunity to get access to education, which we know is difficult in some parts of the world, unfortunately. This said, you joined FIFA Masters, as you said, where you had to study in different countries, and in the end, you had to present a report, a group report, which in your particular case was about women's football in Italy. And let me highlight one of your main sentences you used that can be the motto for everything in women's football. That is, women don't have balls, but know how to kick them. So can you explain to us how was the overall experience in the FIFA Masters? And in a few words, would you describe your final report about Italian women's football?
Sure. So overall, I think my experience with the FIFA Master was very positive. I mean, we lived in 3 different countries. We learned 3 different aspects of sport: the humanities, the management, and the law of sport. And I was surrounded by 27 other, very intelligent, accomplished, and talented individuals from around the world. So this experience in itself, over 1 year, very intense year, was fantastic. So I learned a lot, but I also learned a lot about myself. And as I said, this was my year of retirement. And as a lot of people know, when professional athletes retire, it's not the easiest transition. And so I was able to kind of dig deep and learn a lot more about myself and what I wanted and where I thought I was at in life. So it was a great personal learning growth opportunity as well. In terms of our final project, we did our thesis on the professionalization of women's football, and the first sentence actually of our thesis is "Women don't have balls but know how to kick them." We actually took that from a German advert before the 2019 Women's World Cup. It was going live broadcast all over the place, and we just thought it was too perfect not to use as a great eye catcher and opening piece to our project. But when we went deeper into it, so we analyzed actually 8 different leagues from around the world and tried to understand what their definitions of professionalization or what a professional is in their standards. And then we took a closer focus on Italy and interviewed various different stakeholders, including players, clubs, the FIGC, Sky Italia, and of course UEFA and FIFA. With this, we were able to kind of understand the landscape in Italy and what needs to happen in order to professionalize the league. And actually, we just found out a couple months ago that the FIGC have announced now that in 2022, 2023, that league will be officially professional. So for our group and for me, it's a great sign and positive move in a positive direction. So I'm very happy to hear about that news.
Alisa, in a way, we can say that you have accomplished many dreams. And the idea in this podcast, there are plenty of ideas, but most of the motivation is related to sharing and unveiling these stories about professional women that take the leap, that prepare themselves to kind of like make the decisions into developing the women's game. So we would like you to tell us a bit about what you're doing right now in UEFA. You are working as a women's football assistant, but we are really curious about what do you do daily at the role? What kind of objective do you have? Do you have any mid-term, long-term plans with this role? Could you please, in a few words, develop on this?
Yeah, so my role within the women's football unit at UEFA is a very interesting one. I am very much involved in the development of women's football across Europe. So on a daily basis, I work on various projects that UEFA is working on to help further develop the sport in terms of participation numbers. We help different national associations with funding opportunities and We provide different platforms or documentation to help national associations better understand what is available to them, how we can help, and how we can help grow the game as a whole. It's fantastic to be able to see the other side of the sport. I mean, for my whole life, I've been just on the one side. So to be able to see it from a different perspective and to see the amount of work and effort that goes in within my unit on a daily basis to make women's football better across Europe and I think across the world is truly remarkable. And I look up to the people that I work with every day and learn from them. So very grateful for this opportunity. And yeah, I think it's fantastic, and we're just working toward the strategy that we launched last year and making sure that we're reaching our objectives that we've put out in place in that strategy, and yeah, just going forward like that.
Amazing, Alyssa. And after a long career, both inside and outside the pitch, there's still something in particular that you want to accomplish to contribute to developing the women's game?
Well, I don't know if me personally I'm able to accomplish anything on my own, but I do hope that women and girls can have the same opportunity as men do in this sport. I mean, I think there's still too many negative and pessimistic perceptions on the women's game, and that needs to change, but it's going to take time to change, and it's going to take leaders from all different walks of life to really push that forward and normalize female football.
Amazing. You just said everything now. Normalize it is what we need. Lisa, thank you. We reached the final of this episode. Thank you for sharing your experience with us and with all of our audience, especially for giving a different perspective of growing up in Canada and being adventurous in Europe. It is so important for us and in the women's football world to have such different perspectives like yours. And to all of you, dear listeners, thank you for listening to us, and you already know that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram with the name 2 Goals Podcast. Thank you and have a great week.